Swords of Sacrifice. The year was 500 BC, a tumultuous period in China when kingdoms waged constant wars and swords meant everything. Gan Jiang was one of China's greatest swordsmiths. His wife Moye stood beside him, not just as a partner in love, but as a collaborator in their sacred craft of forging legendary blades. When King Helu of Wu summoned Gan Jiang to his palace, the demand was absolute. Forge 2 swords more powerful than any blade ever created, and complete them within 3 months, or face execution. The command was clear, and Gan Jiang had no choice but to obey. For 3 grueling months, Gan Jiang labored at his furnace, trying to forge the king's swords from a rare meteorite metal, an iron so dense and unyielding it seemed to defy fire itself. The furnace blazed day and night, yet the precious ore remained stubbornly cold, resistant to the raging flames. As time slipped away, panic set in, but the metal would not melt or bend to Gan Jiang's will. Moye watched her husband's growing desperation, fully aware that failure meant death at the hands of the merciless king. Then came the moment that would define their eternal love. Moye suggested the furnace lacked sufficient human qi, or the life force needed to transform this rare metal into something divine. Without hesitation, both husband and wife cut their hair and nails, casting them into the flames. But still it wasn't enough. In the ultimate act of love and sacrifice, Moye made her choice. She threw herself into the roaring furnace, her body becoming the final ingredient needed to complete their masterwork. Gan Jiang watched in horror as his beloved disappeared into the flames. But her sacrifice provided the human essence required to forge 2 perfect swords, 1 male, 1 female, named in their honor. When Gan Jiang uncovered the king's cruel intentions for the swords, he chose to hide the male blade and presented only the female sword to the ruler. Upon learning of the deception, the king became enraged and ordered Gan Jiang's execution. Years later, their son Qi would seek vengeance with his father's hidden blade, ensuring that even in death, their love story would continue through the generations, forged forever in steel and sacrifice. The Butterfly Lovers. Liang Shanbo was a bright, curious student traveling to meet his mentor, but fate led him to a humble village school, where he met Zhu Yingtai, a girl disguised as a young man. Zhu, determined to receive the same education as her brother, befriended Liang and shared 3 years of study, forming a bond of gentle friendship, until Zhu's gentle laughter in spring breezes began to stir Liang's heart in ways he could not name. As seasons changed, Zhu also realized her feelings ran deeper than friendship. With tender courage, she confessed to Liang on a moonlit night, revealing her true identity as a woman. Shocked, Liang's heart swelled with joy and relief, and they vowed love and whispered promises, believing nothing could sever their union. But their joy was short-lived. When Zhu returned home, she found out her parents had already arranged her marriage to a wealthy nobleman, and Liang's pleas for their marriage fell on deaf ears. Trapped by duty and tradition, Zhu begged for Liang's forgiveness, as she must obey her family, sealing their separation with silk ribbons and ancestral duty. Grief-stricken and unable to endure life without his beloved, Liang fell ill and died of heartbreak. At Liang's funeral, Zhu appeared in widow's white and collapsed beside his coffin, crying for them both. In that moment, thunder cracked the sky and a whirlwind rose, scattering mourners in fear. But when the storm cleared, 2 butterflies fluttered from the grave, dancing in daylight before disappearing into the horizon, liberated from mortal constraints, forever united. The cut sleeve. Emperor Ai ascended the throne in 7 BCE, a scholar at heart, drawn to poetry and learning rather than the blood and politics of the palace. Yet, his most profound connection was not with a statesman or a concubine. It was with Dong Xian, a modest young courtier, whose quiet grace captured the emperor's heart instantly, and their bond deepened with time. One morning, Dong Xian lay asleep across the emperor's sleeve. When it was time to rise, the emperor gently severed his sleeve rather than wake his sleeping favorite, giving rise to the phrase, sleeping on a cut sleeve, a symbol of devotion that would echo through Chinese history. The emperor lavished honors on Dong Xian, granting him unprecedented titles and power, elevating him to co-regent. But with great favor came bitter envy. The imperial court, steeped in rigid traditions, bristled at Dong Xian's rise. Ministers conspired, resentful of the young lover wielding authority. The emperor, torn between duty and passion, struggled as voices in the court clamored for Dong Xian's removal. Fearing conflict and scandal, the emperor issued a decree, stripping Dong Xian of his posts. A decree he immediately regretted, but could not rescind under the weight of court pressure. Dong Xian left the palace with dignity, his heart breaking as he went. The emperor fell gravely ill soon after, consumed by sorrow. When the emperor passed away years later, Dong became overcome with grief and chose to end his life beside his beloved, drinking poison in the very palace halls where their love once flourished. The emperor's beloved, Yang Yuhuan, was born into a noble family but entered the imperial court as a palace attendant. Her beauty was whispered about in every corridor, yet it was her warmth and wit that truly captured hearts. When Emperor Xuanzong first saw Yang Guifei, he was struck not only by her beauty, but by her gentle laughter and quiet grace. Though burdened by age and affairs of state, he found in Yang Guifei a bright spark that rekindled joy in his life. Their romance blossomed in secret strolls among the plum blossoms, where they shared poetry and music as night fell. Xuanzong cherished Yang's artistry, her poetry, dance, and guzheng, often preferring her performances to state business. As their bond deepened, Yang became his imperial consort and soon held nearly as much influence as the emperor himself. But favor breeds envy, and court officials bristled as Yang's family rose in power. Chancellor Li Linfu and others maneuvered to curb her sway. Worse, the Tang dynasty was shaken by internal and civil rebellions. Generals blamed Yang's family for corruption and neglect of border defenses, and soldiers marched on Chang'an, baying for retribution. Facing ruin, Xuanzong made an agonizing choice. To save the throne, Yang must go. As they fled the capital, the imperial entourage paused at Mo Ye Station. Soldiers and courtiers chanting, "Remove Yang Guifei," forced the emperor to concede. In the chill before dawn, Xuanzong watched as Yang was led away. She met her fate with composure, placing the emperor's seal upon his palm and offering a final bow. The emperor's cries echoed through the silent station, but her life was claimed by political necessity. In the years that followed, Xuanzong spent his remaining days in somber reflection, composing poems in memory of Yang Guifei, honoring their eternal love. Broken Strokes of Love. Wang Xianji grew up surrounded by brilliance. The seventh son of Wang Shiji, China's greatest calligrapher, he showed extraordinary talent from childhood. At 7, his father tried to snatch the brush from his hand, but Wang's grip was unwavering, earning the praise. "This son is destined for fame." Yet, that fame brought both triumph and heartbreak. As a young man, Wang Xianji married Shi Daomao, a woman from a distinguished family who shared his love of poetry and calligraphy. Their marriage bloomed with mutual affection and intellectual companionship. Shi Daomao understood the artistic soul of her husband, and together, they created a world of literary beauty filled with love. Yet, brilliance attracts attention, and fate intervened harshly. Princess Sima Daofu of Sinan, daughter of Emperor Jiangwen, noticed Wang Xianji's reputation both as a scholar and as an artist. She was enchanted. Her desire for Wang grew so strong that she pressed her father, the emperor, to arrange a marriage. This royal decree was absolute. Neither family could refuse. Desperate to avoid betraying Shi Daomao, Wang Xianji resorted to drastic measures. He is said to have crippled himself, burning his own legs with wormwood, hoping this act would make him unfit for the princess. Yet, imperial prevailed. With no way out, Wang Xinji was forced to divorce Shi Dao Mao and marry Princess Sima Daofu, a union that fulfilled the court's ambitions but shattered his personal happiness. Though now a prince by marriage, Wang Xinji's heart remained broken. He poured his grief into his calligraphy, each stroke trembling with longing for Shi Dao Mao. Wang Xinji died young at 42, possibly weighed down by his sorrow. His artistic legacy endured, but his later works carry a somber shadow, a master calligrapher whose greatest masterpiece was a silent love letter to the woman he lost. The Last Tears. Du Shinyang, a courtesan, famed for her beauty, wit, and confidence, overcame hardships to turn her Yangzhou courtesan house into a hub of art and poetry. When Li Jia, a scholar, visited her, he found not just a beautiful woman, but a kindred spirit and true companionship. Their romance flourished beneath lanterns, filled with honest conversations and shared dreams. Du Shinyang saw in Li Jia not the lecherous leavings of wealthy patrons, but a man who respected her mind and soul. And Li Jia, captivated by her strength and intellect, pledged to protect her from the stigma of her profession. He offered marriage, a promise of living as equals beyond the constraints of a rigid society. But bliss was short-lived. Li Jia's family, ashamed of his choice, demanded he abandon Du Shinyang or lose his inheritance. Torn between love and filial duty, Li Jia faltered. Under pressure, he struck a bargain with the local magistrate. The royal court would relinquish Du Shinyang if Li Jia paid a substantial sum. Believing firmly in their bond, Li Jia offered his meager savings, only to discover too late that Du Shinyang had been sold for double the price to a corrupt official. When the truth emerged, Du Shinyang's world shattered. In despair, she hurled her precious jade box, an ornate chest filled with her life savings and treasured tokens, a symbol of both her material wealth and her emotional investment in love, into the canal, then cast herself into the dark waters. Her tragic final act echoed across Yangzhou's waterways, a mournful end to a love destroyed by betrayal and greed. If you've been moved by these legends, subscribe for more tales, share your thoughts in the comments, and let these ancient voices inspire you once again.